A warm welcome to our community on LinkedIn and at TapstartX. We are fortunate today to have Mr. Arjun Vaidya join us for a candid fireside chat on all things D2C and a little bit about V3 Ventures. He's a known name in the industry, currently co founder and active investor at V3 Ventures, founded and exited Dr. Vaidya's mentored countless entrepreneurs and is an esteemed investor at present to a multiple startups. On behalf of the community, I extend a very warm welcome. Arjun, thank you so much for doing this today and joining us. Let's get started. Quickly setting the context for everyone today on the stream. We're going to speak a little bit about Arjun's journey at Dr. Vaidya's. We talk about his perspectives on scaling versus, uh, investing in branding, challenges in scaling a business, a D2C brand specifically, and talking about the current perspectives in the contemporary times, building a D2C brand. So that's what our conversation is today going to be around. Arjun, a very warm welcome.
My pleasure, Amrit. Thank you so much for hosting me. I'm really excited for the session.
Awesome, awesome. So, मतलब हम तो काफी सारे वक्त से आप जो कंटेंट आप डालते हैं ऑनलाइन, वी आर अ फैन ऑफ इट ऑब्वियसली, एंड देयर इज अ लॉट abundant knowledge available. Even if a person who's wanting to get started into D2C, your content, your conversations that you have on social media, I think that's a university in itself. Right? So today we'll be speaking about your journey at Dr. Vaidya's. So take us to that time when you actively started getting involved in your business. It's a legacy business, right? So what was your perspective that you brought into your business?
Yeah, I think, Amrit, interesting question. I would say my business was a legacy business, but not a legacy business. In that, I inherited my grandfather's clinic, but I didn't inherit a business. So a lot of people think I got a ready business and I just took it online. No, I inherited a clinic, a large repository of formulations and products, but no brand or business. And so after my dada passed, I had to really take this brand forward and create something from scratch. Now, with that in mind, I think the biggest advantage I had was not being an Ayurvedic doctor. So, the reason I say this is because sometimes being an outsider allows you to have an out of the box perspective. So, Ayurveda was an industry that was categorized by age old brands that had been around for a very long time that have a huge amount of consumer trust, but do things in a specific way. And not being a doctor, having lived in the US, seen the proliferation of yoga in the US, it became apparent to me that Ayurveda had lost connect with modern consumers, or there was a sort of dissonance between modern consumers and age old Ayurveda. And that was the gap I was setting out to solve with Dr. Vaidya's. Is as a customer, I saw a dissonance between age old Ayurveda and modern consumers. I saw Ayurveda seeming boring, old style, and poorly packaged to these consumers. And that is something that I thought we could bridge with Dr. Vaidya. And so, not being a doctor actually was a massive advantage for Trisha and I in taking the business forward.
Awesome. So, we have read stories about your journey. So it has been, a part of the general trade. You mentioned about your clinic. So tell us about, the shift that happened, that you brought about, to take the business into modern trade, e-commerce. So what was the kind of efforts that were, a part of that phase?
Yeah, look, I'll talk about e-commerce and D2C specifically. I think this was a completely new world, right? Ayurveda was traditionally sold through Kirana stores, through Ayurvedic stores, through pharmacies, and then we decided to take this online. And so when we started taking this online, I think it was a different thought process. What did my grandfather offer in his clinic? He offered a consultation that was free. We were the first company to take free consultations online. That really helped increase the trust and access for consumers outside the top 10 cities. Right? Then, how do you educate consumers about Ayurveda? Using content, using WhatsApp communities. All of that we started way back in 2017, 2018. Today it may seem very common, but at that time it was completely new. So actually, I think one was obviously selling product, but the most important thing before even selling the product was building trust in the customer's mind. And that was key and crucial for us as we were building this brand. And so I think if I am to think about really Dr. Vedya's journey through e-commerce, it was a market discovery, market creation journey. And being the first mover in that space, we faced a lot of challenges because customers had not seen this before. And so solving for those things, solving for how do you explain a product to a customer? How do you, without having a doctor, give the similar clinic-like experience? How do you build the trust in the customer that you are the right brand to buy from? I think all of these things were things we had to solve for. It was new, but it was very exciting when you were doing it the first time.
या समथिंग विच वाज बीइंग सेलिंग एज अ कमोडिटी उसको आप एक ब्रांड बना रहे हो एंड देन आल्सो वर्किंग ऑन द मार्केट टू मेक देम अ लिटिल मोर मैच्योर्ड अबाउट द कैटेगरी आई थिंक इट्स अ सिग्निफिकेंट एफर्ट so tell me when we got started with the D2C channel for Dr. Vaidya's, right? So because of the legacy, because of the clinic, because of the age old formulations, obviously there was a moat, right? So what would you attribute that what actually helped you build a solid foundation for a D2C presence online?
I think the the focus really on being online first or online only really helped us as a brand and a business because a lot of people took D2C as a stepchild channel. ठीक है वेबसाइट है एक दो ऑर्डर आ रहे हैं चला लो राइट विदाउट thinking what's the customer experience. Website is a storefront. Like you have retail stores, your website interface is your retail store. And so treating it with the love and respect that you treat your retail store is crucial. And so really being razor sharp and focused on just this one channel was a massive advantage for us. Massive, massive advantage.
Awesome. So when you got started with D2C on your web store, how was the scene on the marketplaces? Were you there? Did you come to that later on, or was it before you just? Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think that's a great question. We took D2C first,
Okay.
and then we went to other channels.
And now the reverse is happening, or people are relying more on marketplaces.
What I tell brands is that listing on a marketplace or creating a website is not a very large cost. So listing on a marketplace is free and creating a website is 2 3 lakh rupees at best. Start on both because the great part about online business, about digital business, is that you get real-time customer data and feedback, which means let's say you list your product on your website, you list your product on Amazon. Within a month, 2 months, 3 months, you will see what is the sales velocity, how fast are the products moving, what is the cost of acquisition for customers, how much are customers buying your product, what are the comments customers are giving once they receive the product. And so, through customer data and through the numbers, which are real time, you can tell where your customer wants to buy on. And
Right.
that's massive, right?
So yes, and at an early stage, especially getting these kind of insights for a startup, for a new brand, is of paramount importance because obviously the data helps you take important business decisions in terms of where you want to double down upon.
Correct.
So, we discussed about how took we productized things and we went D2C first. So, taking the conversation towards investments in sales and brand building. So, we all know the kind of brand Dr. Vaidya is today. So, what are your perspectives between a new business focusing on channelizing their funds only on performance marketing, trying to get more eyeballs on the web store versus do some activities that actually educate plus build a stronger brand?
So, look, I think from a education perspective, the great news is that distribution is democratized, which means through Instagram, through LinkedIn, through WhatsApp, That's where customers are going for knowledge through YouTube. That's where customers are going for knowledge. And so, as brands, I think the biggest mistake brands are making today is that all the brand pages are talking about their products. But really, a customer is not excited to keep knowing about your products. A brand page, and the ratio we used to follow at Dr. Vedis for WhatsApp communities was 6 out of 7 days the content is educational, value adding, and self improving, and one day it's focused on brand, or one day it's focused on product or discount or free consultation, right? So I think brands need to start behaving like creators, in that your job is to add value, your job is to educate, your job is to create some content that's shareable, that's likable, not just saying my product is on discount.
Right. So, any perspective? So, a brand is already doing, say, 500 products per month. So, what is the kind of split you would suggest? That this percentage should be focused on building the brand, and obviously shoestring budgets and investments of performance marketing and Meta, Google is always a challenge for newer brands. So how would you suggest people go for ad spends, the percentage, and versus the percentage on branding activities?
Well, look, I think it's a good question. Uh, I would say whatever the budget is, whether the budget is 1 rupee, 10 rupees, 100 rupees, 1 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, there's a ratio we need to maintain.
Hmm.
And that ratio means some spend needs to go to brand.
Yes.
All spend can't go on performance. Now, I've seen 80-20 performance versus brand. I've seen 70-30 performance versus brand. Whatever that ratio is, and you'll come up with it yourself given your brand. Uh, Consistency is crucial. The biggest mistake I've seen founders do is spend on brand in a short burst, 2-3 months, and say, "Acha, kuch nahi ho raha," and stop. Then actually the 2-3 months has also gone to waste. So what I tell founders is keep a ratio. Let's say 80-20. Today your budget is 100 rupees. 80 rupees goes on performance, 20 rupees goes on brand. Tomorrow, when your budget is 120 rupees, it doesn't mean 100 goes on performance and 20 goes on brand. 96 goes on performance, 24 goes on brand. And
So the
so
ratio should remain.
as your budget scales, the ratio remains the same. And don't stop brand activity abruptly. Give it a 6 to 9 month period. Only then will you start seeing results. If you had a brand ambassador, let's say, the biggest mistake founders make is they say, "Acha, automatically sale aa jayega." Nahi. It will build your top of funnel. It will increase your addressable market. It will eventually reduce your cost of acquisition of customers. But on day one, it will not increase sale. Just because Sachin Tendulkar said have this product, 100,000 customers will come and buy the product. But the next time the customer was thinking of buying a product in that space, remembered what Sachin said and bought it.
Right. Right. So, talking about such campaigns, right? Brand building campaigns, more so. So, do you recall of any particular marketing initiatives at Dr. Vaidya's that was significantly, they were successful and contributed significantly to Dr. Vaidya's growth?
Sure. Let me talk about two initiatives, right? So one initiative was uh, our WhatsApp communities. Now, this is before the concept of WhatsApp community existed, so we did it through WhatsApp groups. But we had something called daily Ayurvedic tips. Now, what was daily Ayurvedic tips? It was a opt-in WhatsApp group, which means after you placed an order or on our website homepage, there was a link to join a WhatsApp group. This WhatsApp group was a group where every single day in Hindi and in English, you get one tip on Ayurveda. It could be on the science of Ayurveda, the history of Ayurveda, herbs in Ayurveda, yoga in Ayurveda, diet in relation to Ayurveda, how to cure specific illnesses in relation to Ayurveda, what is a dosha, etc. All of that. It's a generalized content on Ayurveda. And once a week, usually on Thursdays or Saturdays, we'd have branded content. So it could be a product discount, it could be a description of product, It could be a prompt to take a free consultation.
Mm.
Now, directly, this was not contributing to sales or not significant sales. But 25,000 people joined these WhatsApp groups. Every day at 7 to 8 p.m., when we sent the broadcast out, 25,000 people saw a company's logo because the DP on WhatsApp was still our Dr. Vaidya's logo. The group was called Daily Ayurvedic Tips.
Correct.
And so this initiative was massive for us in terms of brand visibility and resonance.
Mm.
Similarly, during COVID, we did a bunch of activities that weren't directly related to brand. So every day, we had a live session on Instagram where we got a health expert, nutritionist, fitness expert, yoga expert, Ayurveda expert, doctor to come and talk about a specific aspect of wellness. We did this for 100 days back to back.
Mhm.
And interestingly, on Sundays, our live was a live concert. So we'd have a musician, an artist, a band come, right? What we were trying to do is say, in these times of strife of difficulty, we will keep you engaged. We went to the extent of even organizing quizzes. So we started something called Immunity Premier League when the IPL was going on, which had predictions on matches. And every week we had a live quiz. And the prizes were our products. And so we engaged our Dr. Vedya's audience to the extent that something interesting kept them engaged with the background of Ayurveda all the time. So I think these two initiatives are things I invested in time, effort, energy, and money, which weren't directly contributing to sales but really helped the brand.
Yeah, it's kind of one thing that I take away from this is often we maintained a sense of stickiness to the brand by forming this community around the brand, because obviously when you're giving value, when we are giving that kind of knowledge to people, people are likely to stick around you. And another benefit that I take away from this is that, again, when we own the media and the distribution of our communications to our audience, I think that is a very big edge that helps you push across the recall, help you push across the distribution of the events also, and help you actually engage the people better with you than uh, not have this thing at all and have people shop and just go away again into the dark. So I think this is a great uh, sort of learning from this. Moving on to the next section that talks about scaling a D2C brand, right? So zero to one is something that a lot of people are into, but then people who move beyond that, right? uh, what are the three cornerstones of a business that define scalability for startups?
Sure. So I think from the 1 to 10 or the 1 to 100 scale, I think you gotta keep a few things in mind, right? The first thing is that uh, you gotta find out what worked 0 to 1 that is infinitely scalable, which means 0 to 1 is about product market fit. So I spent 30 rupees and I got a 100 rupee order and I have 80% gross margin on that. That unit economics makes sense because after logistics, after payment gateway, you're making 20 rupees or 10 rupees per order. Now, can I take that from gear 1 to gear 2, 3, and 4 to go from 1 to 100? So, establishing PMF at 0 to 1 and rapidly scaling it in 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 is crucial. The good part about digital businesses, in most cases, this is possible, right? So, that's one. Second, I would say is that the first order is not the be all and end all. In D2C and e-commerce, you make money on your second and third order. And so focusing on customer experience, retention, customer feedback, product iteration after the product has reached the customer is very important. The third thing I would say is team perspective. The 0 to 1 team is a hacky team that just gets the product off the ground. The 1 to 10 team or the 1 to 100 team will start having experts in customer service, in operations, in logistics, in warehousing, in performance marketing, in SEO. So the same structure of team will not work for the 1 to 100. So these three things: one, find your PMF in something that's scalable. Second, focus not just on first order but also on retention. And third, you got to structure your team in a different way to bring in experts.
Right, right. So, any milestones, if I would put it like this, any key milestones that a business should achieve before they move into the phase of trying to scale their business up?
So, what do you mean by milestones?
uh, maybe some indicators, or at a point like how you said that a PMF, that that would have some indicators, right? So any kind of such indicators that from an expert like you that can help founders understand that, okay, I think there is a fair enough amount of confidence in the whole PMF, in the kind of customers we are currently engaging, and I think we should try to, that is also a phase where actively people look for funding, trying to scale up the business. So that's where I'm trying to sort of understand.
Yeah, so I think it's a very broad, generalized question. So it may not be so easy to answer, but let me try to answer it. I think what tells you that you're hitting some amount of traction, scale, PMF, etc. Right? It's, are there new customers coming every day without massive effort? Which means if I shut my eyes, will I do some amount of sales without adding much effort? Second, are my customers coming back? Is my repeat rate strong? Is it 25, 30%, 35%? That's a very good number for D2C brands. Third, are my reviews good? Whether it's on my website or on Amazon or it's when my customer management team or retention team or service team calls the customers, are they giving positive feedback? Because that leads to word of mouth. That word of mouth leads to a snowball effect on sales. So I think these are few indicators that your business is hitting some amount of scale and success.
So we repeatedly spoke about how can we retain the customers, because obviously the first order is not something that from a customer, the first purchase is not something that can be used to conclude, right? The second and the third purchase is something that gives us a more stronger indicator, right? So taking the conversation there, right, how can businesses focus on this space to improve the stickiness plus also the customer lifetime value for the business?
I think the bare minimum first most important metric is your product has to be good and the customer has to like it. If that's not the case, then everything I tell you ahead of this doesn't make sense, right? Second thing I would say is uh, the experience from the time the customer places the order till the time the customer wants to place an order again has to be a beautiful experience or delightful experience, which is, and Lenskart is a great example of this, right? Uh, hire callers from or hire customer service team from American Express rather than a customer service team from ICICI Bank. So, is my website conversion friendly? Is the experience of placing an order seamless and quick? Does the product reach me in time as a customer? And in time means less than 48 hours, less than 72 hours in a metro, but usually within 48 hours in a metro. Is the unboxing experience good? Does the product box come nice? Do I get a free sample with the product? Is there a note from the founder in there? Is the product packaging looking good when I buy it? Do I feel? See, when you're buying a product in a shop, the moment you pay that bill, you get that dopamine secretion. Okay, I got something new, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, when you're opening the box, you need that dopamine secretion when you're doing an online sale, online purchase. Then is the retention experience good? Which means did I get a discount the next time I was ordering? Did they call me to check on my experience? Did they ask me if there was any issues with my product? I think all of these things become crucial. And then finally, what do they do to convince me to place an order? I think this is the journey that a brand needs to follow to effectively retain customers.
Right, right. So, Arjun, there's also a lot of talk about how the D2C space is gotten cluttered, and there's a lot of competition. You talk about consumer brands into skincare, into wellness, into other areas also. So, what is your view about is it a bubble? Will some brands cease to exist? What is your view about it?
Look, I don't think it's a bubble, honestly. Uh, I think India is a brand starved nation and brands will continue to exist. What is true, and if you read my LinkedIn post today, is e commerce is harder than it was 5 years ago because the market is more cluttered, advertising cost is much more, and customer expectation on quality of experience is much higher. And so it is harder, it's more technical. But to say that e commerce is saturated is totally false.
Right. So, when we were speaking about the customer experience, right, from someone discovering the web store to actually unboxing the product at home, right? And we spoke about, is there a founders note? Let's spend some more time over there. How can, founders or startups bring about personalization, if I would put it like that, or that give that touch of the story that is about the startup, right? And maybe some things that have worked for Dr. Vaidya's.
I think personalization is crucial because it makes a customer feel special. Today, with AI, actually, hyper personalization at scale is also possible, which means you can create a digital avatar of the founder or the brand ambassador and have them say every customer's name on a WhatsApp video when the product is delivered. So, let's say, for example, I send a product to Amrit. I can actually send a WhatsApp video to Amrit with my brand ambassador saying, "Hi, Amrit, thank you for placing an order. I hope the product has reached you. This is how to use the product." And so Amrit feels that special that I've got a personalized video, but really hyper personalization with AI is possible. I think bucketing customers in different segments, giving your VIP customers the uh, additional experience or love or feeling of being special is crucial. So every customer is not brushed with the same stroke.
So, recently I came across a startup that is into mixed reality. There was, what they are focusing on is trying to make the outdoor and the print ads dynamic. You must be aware about it. So I think I was also reading a case where someone is, D2C brands are trying to have a sort of a note and asking people to sort of scan the QR code so that the founder's message can actually play on that piece of paper through the lens, and actually the personalization can be sort of achieved. And interesting ways of how using AI and the technologies recently can we can achieve these things. So moving on to our last section, talking about the current times. If you were to start, personally, it's a question to you, Arjun. If you were to start a D2C business in 2024, which sector or space would that be in, and why?
Yeah, look, if I was to start, I would start in three spaces. Um, See, I think fashion and personal care are the largest spaces in D2C, but they're also the most crowded. There's the most action. So I would look for spaces with less action but lots of demand. I just did up my own home. I tried to buy as many D2C brands as I could. There is a gap in the availability of D2C brands. That's one. So, home and kitchen. Two, there is a general movement towards health and wellness as well as sports and fitness. So, research products, unique products in health and wellness supplements, as well as anything to do with amateur sports, equipment, shoes, etc. As India is getting more and more fit, right? There are more people
Yeah.
running, more people walking, more people trying new sports. People are playing paddle and pickleball and easier sports as well. So that's the second one. And the third one, I would say, it's a slightly niche space, but I think there is a massive movement towards pets and humanization of pets. So these three spaces: home and kitchen, sports, fitness, health, wellness, and then pets.
Pets. Uh, you've got a pet at home?
I don't have a pet, but my niece and my cousin who live in the same building have a pet, so we're quite close.
Right, right. We have been seeing a lot of pet founders in our community. Pet spaces again, yes, booming. Uh, Pet fashion, pet health, pet accessories, and fashion again, and also pet food and things like that. So yes, interesting. And what are the sectors that you would avoid?
I would say a Me Too product in personal care because that's the valley of death. Uh, That one I would avoid. And then uh, FMCG businesses that don't have a GT or modern trade presence, I think quick commerce can only take you so far, right? So food businesses need to have a presence in offline. If they don't, then that's what I would avoid.
Right, right. So I think throughout the conversation today, we have highlighted, but I would like to once again ask you so that we sort of put or consolidate these thoughts. That what are the three, if I were to say, mistakes or pitfalls that founders make today or experience today that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I made as a mistake. I invested in brand too late. So we talked about it earlier in the session as well. Be consistent and be patient with your brand expenditure, your content, your community, your videos, your influencer marketing. Be patient. Second, uh, invest in a team early. Invest in high quality team and resources early. You can't do everything as a founder. And third, I would say, uh, when you're seeing a challenge, when you're seeing a problem, nip it in the bud. If you're seeing your AOV is too low, as a founder, you know it's too low. Don't chalao it just because chal raha hai.
Mm,
In the long term, that'll hurt you.
got it. Uh, So, touching upon V3 Ventures, right? You have been actively investing. So, tell us about the kind of focus it has or the thesis of investment in the Indian landscape.
Yeah, look, we are an early stage consumer fund. We want to invest in seed to Series A consumer businesses across brands, technology, enablers, platforms. We've invested from Kuku FM, Eka Care, and entry in the content, healthcare, and education space to Go Zero, local zero sugar ice cream. Going to announce a cakes and desserts deal next week. Dil Foods in the QSR space. We're doing something in the hospitality space. We're doing something in the dermatology clinic space. So across the board, really anything that caters to a modern, new age Indian consumer across technology and brands is something very interesting to us.
And while we understand that it's an early stage fund, what do you look in specifically again focusing on D2C? What do you look in founders uh, before choosing to invest in them? It's again a very personal question.
Yeah, it's a simple answer actually. Some right to win in that space, whether it's background, experience, knowledge, education, passion, and then the quality of grit and resilience to fight through tough times. Like every startup journey is not a straight line graph. It's a
Hmm.
roller coaster. It goes up and down and up and down. So will they fight through those tough times?
Okay, and this is something that I would like to add because we have a set of questions. The last 10 minutes typically we reserve for the questions from the community. Uh, how does V3 Ventures beyond the monies help the startups actually make it?
I think it's a good question. I would say that there's two parts to it, right? One is obviously through Invest and V3, we have done multiple investments. I have personally angel invested in more than 100 companies and been a founder myself. So that experience, expertise, and knowledge of broad based learning across brands is what we bring to each of the brands. But personally, as an investor, I like to pick one work stream. So if I see a business lacking in one space and doing well in the other space, where it's doing well, I won't even talk to the founder. I let the founder run it because they're the captain of the ship. Reality is we are just enablers, right? So I let the founder run that piece, and the pieces where I have better knowledge, I'll take them up myself. So I think the job of an investor is not to run a business. The job of an investor is to add value, to make introductions, and to move from there.
Correct. So, it was a lovely session today. There are a couple of questions that I would like to take, Arjun. Um, there's a founder in the community who's asking that what is the best possible platform mix to generate the first 0 to 100 orders, and is it right to add paid media in the early set of early mix basically?
Yeah, look, I think I answered this question on platform mix. Let your customer tell you where they want to buy your product. On paid media, yes, you will have to add it at an early stage.
Okay, and the next question is, given the large landscape of consumers India has, it's a very vague, I would say, or a very general question, but how to choose a product for D2C India for in the e-commerce space?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a broad question. I'll answer it with ask yourself three questions. What is the problem? What is my solution? And this is usually where people end. But the third question is crucial. What is my right to win? There are lots of problems in space, but I'm not an aeronautical aerospace engineer. I can't solve this problem. So,
Correct.
what is my right to win? Ask yourself that third question.
Got it. Lastly, there is another lifestyle brand. The founder asks, does pivot into a different category count as a fresh start? I think funding is like a chicken egg problem. So, what do you think is the right time to raise funds?
I'll answer the second question first. The best time to raise funds is when you hit product market fit and you know exactly what the funds will do to your business. We were doing 50 orders a day when I raised money. I knew where to put the money, and within 1 year, we were doing 20x that, and within 18 months, we were doing 100x that. So we knew we had hit product market fit. And then we said, okay, now when we get the capital, we just push up the gear. Uh, is a pivot into a new category, a new business? I have to be more specific. How far away is your category from your existing business? But usually it is if it's far away.
All right, awesome. So I think this was. I think we all know about how mentoring is a big thing that you do. It's a big part of your life, Arjun, and your engagements with a lot of brands and the communities outside, is a proof to that. But then this session really helped us a lot. Thank you so much on behalf of the entire community on LinkedIn, on at TapstartX. Lastly, you are a part of a lot of communities, Arjun, right? So TapstartX is also a networking community for startups. Again, at an early stage, we are bringing investors, founders, and enablers under one platform digitally, so that right from the mobile phones, from the space the entrepreneur is in, without spending a lot of energies, monies, or anything, we want to make networking a daily affair. So what do you think about communityhood, your brand? You mentioned earlier in the conversation that you built stickiness through the community approach, right? So what do you think
I
of?
think it's important. You got to learn from other people's experiences. I didn't have enough of this when I started. And so kudos to you guys for doing things like this because I think if we can all learn from each other, we can save time not making the same mistakes. And that leads to much quicker success.
And what do you think, how important is networking in today's time, for specifically for
I
founders?
think forced networking is not great. I think a lot of people do forced networking. But relevant connections and building relationship rather than being transactional is what I believe in.
Lovely. I think that's about it for today's session. We look forward as a community to engage with you, Arjun, once again very soon. Until next time, thank you so much once again for doing this session for us, for the community, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks, Amrit. Take care and thank you for hosting me.
A shout out to Suranjika for setting this up. She never comes on the screen, but then yeah, there's a lot of work she does behind setting these things up, and obviously arranging the session with you, Arjun. Thank you so much.